Hey, what's up, everybody? Mark Hummel here, CEO of Inspector Empire Builder and lead high performance business coach in the home inspection industry. We are excited that you've grabbed this video. We're going to try something new and keep this as short as possible because we have seen that even if we put out really amazing content that is 20, 30 minutes long, people typically only make it about 2/3 of the way through. So I am going to go super fast. I'm going to give you some actionable things you can do in your business. And again, we're excited that you're checking out this video. If there's anything we can do for you once you're done watching this, make sure to reach out to us, whether it's to schedule a consultation, jump into coaching, come to a class, an event, or anything else we can do to support you in your business building journey. All right, let's dive into this. So, this video is for people who we call builder level companies. That's those people in our industry who are hiring inspectors, putting a team together, or maybe you've already hired inspectors and have a team, but you want to take it to the next level. The reason that we care so much about this content is because most companies will ebb and flow between 1 and 4 inspectors and never reach their full potential as a team, let alone get outside of that 1 to 4 inspector box. Now, you may never want to go outside 1 to 4 inspectors, but the hiring practices, the training, the managing, the motivating, all the things you do as a leader in your company truly matter if you want to make excellent money, make excellent profit, and keep people around who are going to stay around, produce tons of revenue, and also have an impactful life themselves. And that's why we do this in the first place, right? Not only to make a business, to make profit and to build a lifestyle for ourselves, but to create impact for the people who work for us as well. So we're just going to go through 3 quick points together today. And hopefully you can take this and run with it because as a high performance coach, the only thing I am concerned with is that you are taking action on the things that we teach you. So that's my prompt, I guess. That's me planting the seed and watering it at the same time. We're going to share things, but 3 things, but we want you to go take action on them. Don't just listen to this video and go, that was interesting, be a content zombie and then move on without doing anything. Same page? All right, let's go. Point number 1. Hiring the right person starts with you, and it starts way before you ever put a job posting out or start looking for somebody. The reality is that one of the biggest pain points we see in putting a team together is that owners are not actually prepared to bring somebody aboard. And so they're hiring out of necessity, or maybe they're panicking, or maybe they just think, man, it's time to grow. I know it's time to grow. So they just hire somebody. Or maybe they're in a place of pain. They're seeing themselves give jobs away. They're super busy. Maybe they're pulling their hair out because they're super busy and at their own capacity themselves and they just need help. For whatever reason, people hire inspectors without actually being prepared to onboard them, to train them, and to bring them into a vision, something that you're actually building in your company. And so, what we really want to move everybody toward is having a very good organizational structure in mind before you ever bring somebody in. So, what that includes is a hierarchy, right? A written out organizational structure. You are the leader of the company, the owner, the CEO, whatever title you like to use for yourself. You have a service operations and growth lane. And then this inspector you're going to bring in is in the service lane. Now, if you can imagine that hierarchy is the leader at the top, your 3 divisions, and then in your division is your inspector in your service division. In your service division, your inspector, that role, not the person, but that role should have a job profile. They should have what we call a 30, 60, 90-day onboarding training system that you bring them into. And we should have an active process going that takes them from coming into the organization to being a self managed, efficient, revenue producing person within about 100 days. Super important. And so, already in just the short things that I've said here, you should be thinking, do I have a really great job profile for my home inspector that tells them exactly what they'll be doing, exactly the skills that they'll need, and exactly what winning looks like, along with compensation and all the other things? While at the same time providing a path forward for them so that they can see themselves winning at your company for a long time, a job profile. Do they know what KPIs or measures of success will be used to tell whether they're winning or losing? That should be included in there as well. Do you have an onboarding, a 30 60, 90-day onboarding that gives them benchmarks to know whether they're winning or losing in the first 100 days. And at that 100-day mark, will they be able to launch out on their own, not completely hands off? They're still training to do it about 100 days, but they should be taking some ownership of their role at that point. Okay, so point number one is don't hire anybody unless you have your system in place with your very well put together job profile and your 30, 60, 90-day onboarding plan. Okay, point number two is all about that training in the 30, 60, 90-day period, that 100 days to get them self managed. They got to know what they're doing, right? And you've got to know what they're doing. And let me just go ahead and put this out there. Shadowing you is not an effective training program. Them just simply following along and picking up on how you do things and the way that you want them to be doing things, that is not a training program. That's a useful part of a training program, but it is not a system that you can replicate, that you can scale, or even that you can improve unless you are improving every single time you do it. In other words, it's one of those coaching principles where we say you cannot be the measuring stick of success, because then if they're looking at you, every time you mess up, guess what's going to happen? They're going to put that little thing in their mind and they're either going to think, well, you're not that great, or they're going to think that's how to do it. And then they mess up too. Instead, we've got to have our training system in writing and broken into phases. Okay. And I'm not going to go super deep into this because, again, this is a short video and we have tons of training on this in IEB. But in your first initial phase, depending on whether you're bringing in a very experienced inspector or maybe somebody who has no experience, I think either way, in your first phase of training, what you're going to want to do is get them exposed to the culture of your company, get them exposed to how you do things, and really start to build momentum to get them to think, how do I represent this company rather than myself as an inspector? Huge, huge mindset shift for a lot of inspectors who believe that just bringing in an inspector is as simple as, oh, they're trained, they can go do it, they're perfect. No, no. We've got to have a training system that gets them to start to represent your brand and your company, not just the technical skills that they have. From there, we want to slice up the components of the inspection process and the service division, all of it, into what they'll be learning in different time frames. So we'll throw up an example of that on the screen here so you can see a visual. But the real main point here is that if it's not written down, it doesn't exist. You don't have a training system. Okay. The other point here I want to make is that if you have a training system, you've got to stick to it. That's even harder than writing it down, I think, is actually sticking to it. Remember, the companies that improve and go further the fastest are the ones who actually stick to their systems and refine them over time. If you're not using them, you're never going to refine them. And that means you might have a system, but you're never improving. You're not actually becoming a better business over time. So 2 points so far. One is don't hire anybody if you don't have a great job profile, a 30, 60, 90-day onboarding plan at least, and the idea that they'll become self-managed around 100 days. And at the same time, point number two is that your entire training system for getting them producing revenue and becoming an inspector under your brand, not just under the skill set that they bring to the table, needs to be written out and divided into what you want them to know week over week in that first 100 days and beyond too, if your training goes longer, which most people do. All right, point number three is to address a pain point we see very, very common in the industry. And that is that the owner operator, you, the business owner, oftentimes brings inspectors around. And rather than you becoming the leader of your company, it's just a kind of a little tribe of technicians doing something in the marketplace. And that cannot be the case if you're going to have a real growing, scaling business. You have got to be the leader of your company, the top of the organizational structure, meaning not that you are barking orders at people and just looking down at your employees. Those ways of leadership died 20, 30 years ago. What I mean is you've got to set the strategic direction for your company and for your team. You've got to be continually growing yourself as an entrepreneur and a business leader. And you've got to expect that your inspectors are doing a great job. You're the leader, not their peer. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be down on their level and on equal footing with them as a technician. You don't have to be a better technician than them. Hopefully, they are better technicians than you, actually. That's what we want. We want you to be hiring people who are much better at the craft than you are so that your business improves. Who cares about you being the guru? Nobody cares about you being the best if you're going to build a business. What they want is that you build a system where other people can thrive and be the best. Don't forget that. And so, one of the biggest mistakes we see is that the owner is competing with their own technicians to be the best technician rather than empowering them to be the best technicians in the marketplace so that the business performs at a high level. All right, so how do we do this? It's important that you have regular touch points with your inspectors from the perspective of you are the leader, meaning maybe a regular one-on-one meeting with each of them to just see how things are going, make sure they're tied to the vision of the company, make sure that they're always improving their skills, and to make sure that they're leveling up in their communication skills. That's a big one. Not only that, but we want to pull them into the growth of the company as well. So they need to have an active role in getting reviews, creating word of mouth. What's the word I'm looking for? Word of mouth pipelines, so that you're not just growing one inspection at a time, but one inspection leads to two or three or four or five more inspections. They've got to have an active part in that. They're not going to unless you're leading and getting those things to happen. All right. So you are making the strategic path from the top. You're pulling them in, you're inspiring them, you're keeping them together, focused on the target, focused on the mission, focused on what you do uniquely well in your market so that they are all empowered to help you build the business. You are not a team of technicians just doing something fun in the marketplace. You are an actual living, breathing business. That's the shift we want you to make with point number three, as if you're an owner operator, especially if someday you want to have a team and get out of the field. You're going to have to start separating yourself out as the true leader of the business. Make sense? Okay, that's all 3 points. And as fast as I could go, there's so many layers to each of them. So if you want to go deeper, make sure that you reach out to us. You can set up a consultation. There's no charge for things like that. And we can dive into your business and just give you some pointers and let you know what we see as opportunities for you to grow, scale, or refine at whatever business stage you are in. Whether you're just starting out your team building journey, or maybe you're really far into it and you want to level up as a leader who can build a true teams driven business. Again, my name is Mark Hummel, the CEO of IEB. Thank you for sticking around with me. Man, that was tough going that fast. I hope you guys liked the video.